Hi everyone, thank you for coming in today to talk all about high school life. Okay, we'll start off with, in no particular order, if you can tell me your names and which college you've decided to commit to, or if you're still debating.
Hi, my name is Shadvi, and I think I'm going to be committing to UC San Diego this fall.
Hi, I'm Sharanya, and this fall I think I'm going to be committing to UC Davis.
Hi, I'm Sanvi and I'm committed to UT Austin.
I'm Hudson and I'm committing to Cornell University.
I'm Sid and I'm committing to UCLA.
Fantastic. Which of the colleges did you guys get admitted into, and then what made you choose the school that you have, ultimately decided to go to?
So I was admitted into UC Davis, UC Irvine, UC Santa Barbara, and UCLA, and also NYU. But I ultimately am probably choosing UC San Diego as I got a Regents scholarship there.
The ones that I got into that I was debating between were Wisconsin, Madison, Scripps College, and also UC Davis. I ended up choosing UC Davis because I really liked the campus when I got there, and I liked the opportunities they were offering. And it's also co-ed when compared to Scripps, which I wasn't really considering. And I was also waitlisted from other colleges that were part of the 5C, so I was hoping to hear back from those and maybe change my decision then. But Wisconsin was just too expensive because it's out of state, so I chose Davis.
I was admitted into Baylor University, University of Pittsburgh, UCR, UT Dallas, and I ultimately picked UT Austin because that's been my dream school, living in downtown Austin itself, so yeah.
Fantastic.
Well, I got admitted to Carnegie Mellon, Wash U, UCI, UC Riverside, pretty much a lot of the UCs, as well as some other schools. I chose, as well as Cal Poly SLO. I chose ultimately Cornell because they had the best architecture program. It was a good school. I liked the area, even though it's going to be freezing. But I think I'll enjoy it.
I got into, the main three that I was kind of considering were Cal Poly SLO, UC San Diego, and UCLA. I'm still debating between UC San Diego and UCLA. They both have excellent computer engineering and computer science and engineering programs. But yeah, those are the main two.
So between LA and SD? Yeah. Okay, fantastic. Now, everybody, when they get into high school, either voluntarily or involuntarily, right? They're put into a different mode that, life is going to be completely different. What was it like for you all when you entered high school? What were some of the things that you were told, this is going to be life-changing, or these are the things that are expected out of you? So what were some of the things that were hit at you which caught you by surprise completely?
I can go first. So our grade is a little special in the way that we got out of COVID. So our 8th grade experience was online. So we didn't really have anyone to completely tell us what to expect, right? Or any connection with the grade above us at that time. But I think the main thing that I heard here and there was, take your first year light, explore experiences, right? Just try new things. But I do wish I took that year a little bit more seriously. I didn't, start involvements in community service or try exploring as much as I could have. I kind of just cruised through the year rather than, trying and giving my all.
Got it. Okay, so start early, take off from freshman year itself. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of want to add on to that because people were telling me high school is when you just explore and you figure out what you like and then you choose what major you want to do. But I feel like the ones who did better for our grade were the ones who knew what they were gonna do, maybe starting freshman year, and they started planning. But I was debating between multiple different majors. I didn't know what I wanted to do career wise, so I feel I just started a little early, like Sid was saying, maybe in my freshman year too. And coming out of COVID, I was also really afraid to join clubs, especially public speaking ones like MUN or speech and debate. Those were the ones I was I was scared to, but I ended up doing speech and debate after.
Yeah, going more into that, I did know going into freshman year that I wanted to do architecture, so a lot of my things were based around architecture, but I did, like Stranya said, it's very important for me especially to start with a club that's relatively well known. So for me it was speech and debate, so even though that doesn't have a huge correlation with architecture, it did allow me to learn how to public speak, which kind of helped with every other club and every interview that I've been a part of. So
Personally, for me in high school, I moved to California when I was in 10th grade. So it was a lot of different obstacles for me. But then the main thing, like I already knew I was going to go into biology. But then at the same time, it's such a vast field. You can go pre-dental, pre-med, and pre-vet. So I think a lot of people, what they said was it's important to go into like community service and like research to see what you what you were interested into, and ultimately led me to pre-med.
I think I had like a bit of a different experience in high school because starting out freshman year, I kind of had the mindset that I just wanted to have fun mainly throughout high school. So I just took it as an opportunity to just do the things that I enjoyed. And I think that's ultimately what helped me in the end because I was able to like really push my time into the things that I was most passionate about. And so through high school, I was able to kind of narrow down what I was more interested in by like just trying out as many things as possible. And like at my school, we didn't really have a lot of opportunities per se for clubs and organizations. So it was kind of like I just had to find more of a unique path for myself in terms of that.
Okay, got it. Now, is it true that you kind of know what major you want to get into, or is it like a process and how do you get to that, right? Like Hudson, going in, you were very clear that you wanted to study architecture, right? But then, like each of you have different experiences with deciding a major. So what would be your advice? Like, how do you know what you want to do?
Honestly, just trying things is a big part of deciding a major. Of course, some people like Hudson have an idea of what they want to be, right? They have a vision or a true passion that they've already found. But for those of us that don't, that are a little more clueless when we enter high school, I think just exploring things is a big thing. For example, I thought I was interested in med, then I took bio and I realized maybe that's not for me. So just exploring things, trying out different subjects, trying out different clubs is a big thing in deciding.
For me, to choose economics, I had to first know what I didn't want to do. So just a quick point about how Sid was saying try things, that really helped me figure out what I didn't want to do. For example, biology, chemistry, physics. So then I leaned more into econ and more liberal arts, I feel like.
yeah, I can definitely second the physics. I think that for me it's architecture. I knew I wanted to do architecture, but I was also still to this day I'm a bit skeptic, what happens if I don't like it, because there's some majors where it's when you go into it you have to commit to it, like architecture. So I knew that no matter what, I wanted to have more of that academic and creative approach to things, so architecture was a perfect mix of that. So I think finding a major, definitely find something that highlights at least some of your passions, that no matter what, you can make it work. Don't do something so niche and specific if you know you might have to change your mind.
Okay. That's good advice. Yeah. When you pick your major, right, is there even the slightest sense that is this major going to give me a good livelihood? Or do you simply pick it up from the point of I'm passionate about this, right? Because it's kind of contradictory feeling sometimes, if you will, right? And I know it goes against everything college admissions follows, right? Follow your passion, go pursue it, and the world will be on your feet, right? At your feet. So how do you pick, does the factor of is this going to give me a comfortable living come in, and then you still push yourself to do it? How do you weigh your options?
Coming from an Indian family, I feel like my parents always told me, or my family in general always told me to pick STEM fields or go doctor, or engineer, but like those two things were like something I like did not want to do. But like it is true, like if you pick those fields, like your career might be a little easier, but I don't know what the job market right now. So yeah, I chose econ because I knew it was like a broad major and it might give me like a lot of options career-wise, but I feel like, yeah, career did have a huge like role in why I chose my major.
Okay, I can talk. So I think that like if you have a major that you know you want to do, even if it's something that's not necessarily like high paying, if you know that you want to do it for sure, definitely pursue that. But if you're unsure about like major selection, I think it's kind of smart to choose a more practical major in terms of like future prospects and like job prospects. So it definitely does play a factor, but at the end of the day, I think that any person should at least do something that's in the field of something that they're interested in. So not necessarily like specifically what they want to do, but as long as it's geared towards something that they're interested in, it should be a good choice.
Yeah, also going into that more, I also think that knowing what else the school offers, so if you're going to a specific major, knowing that you can transfer out of that school to another school is important. For Cornell, you're stuck. You're in that architecture school, you can do design tech, other things related, so I don't really have that opportunity to go out. So I think that's important as well if you don't know what you want to do, is being able to know that whatever school you're applying to, apply to a major that you know for a fact you can stay in that school for.
Okay, yeah, that's good advice. So switching gears a little bit, right? I know schools and the world might have offered you a lot of options for extracurriculars. In your opinion, out of the million things that you did in high school, what do you think was like the standout extracurricular that got you into the college that you want to go to?
Marching band. For me, probably marching band. I mean, I started it freshman year. I got really into being part of it, being part of that group, and helping it and elevating other people's experiences in it. Got into leadership for it, held like 3 or 4 positions towards the end, and I even wrote one of my UC essays on it. So yeah, I think do you play? I play trumpet. Yeah, but I think in general, it's just an extracurricular that you're extremely passionate about, or that you feel like you belong in, is the most important type. Of course, there are extracurriculars that can be used to, quote unquote, stat pad, right? That are just there for the numbers. But finding one that you genuinely enjoy, that you feel part of, that you're part of a community, and not just an individual. I mean, sometimes an individual effort is also important, but finding one that you're like, you really feel part of a community of people is really important.
Okay.
I'm a dancer, so like I've been dancing all my life, so it is something I'm really passionate about, like Sid was saying. So I did start a little small business type of thing where I teach dance to like kids, but also like adults, and that like gave me like a way to explore different communities, like the dance community for like the kids, for the adults, like generational and like multicultural, and also it led me to like talk to people in the small business community. So yeah, it was something I really enjoyed, and like writing about it came like easy to me. So yeah, I feel like it's what got me into where I am going.
Is there any activity that you did but you hated, but you just like stuck with it for whatever reason? Anything like that? You either didn't want to drop because you're doing it for too long, or for whatever reason.
Well, strangely enough, marching band.
Okay.
Yeah, I have an interesting relation with that extracurricular for sure. I mean, it's something that I'm definitely passionate about, but that's just because of the people there. Let's just say some of the instructors involved weren't the most enjoyable people to be around, I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I'm not in marching band. I'm not going to say the club name, but I do think that there's definitely situations where advisors or other people you may not be the biggest fan of, but I definitely had that going into senior year thinking, okay, I don't have a position that I want on it. Do I want to keep going? And like even though I think I deserve a position, do I want to keep trying? And I think in the end, I stuck with it. I think a lot of the people on the team stuck with it because I think it was also like a part of me, the club that I was in. So you couldn't really just leave it. And also like following through is important, especially going into college or anything else. Like if you get a job that you don't want to do, following through for the job is very important.
Yeah, that is key, right? What would be your advice for the high schoolers coming in, right? Because everybody wants that the leadership position in the clubs and like getting to that top level. But of course, it's going to be hard and competitive, right? So, what would be your advice, right? Even if you are facing situations where you're not really set up for success and getting there. So, what have been some of the tools that you have used to get up there or sustain and survive?
Well, for me personally, I think finding a niche extracurricular, so I was a part of Schoolhouse and a part of its founding, so that was important that I was there at the very beginning of it and that I helped watch it grow. So finding a niche club, even though you may not know how big it will get, it gives you a lot of potential and it gives you a lot to write about. And I know Shrenya was highlighting like the multicultural component of things and meeting people, because I know a lot of these colleges you're going to be with many different people from different locations, and having an extracurricular that's niche that could maybe help with that or aid with that does help for the college admissions process.
Actually, building off of that, I think everyone in high school should have the experience of starting a club. Just that experience of building it up from the ground, like actively searching out members, trying to network with people, trying to create this community that you've envisioned is a really important experience to have, and it's something you can write about.
Yeah. So I've always wondered, if everybody wants to start a club, right? Who's going to join? Who's going to join these clubs? And have you faced this situation while you were in high school? And how do you maneuver around all of that?
Well, personally, me in high school, being the president of 2 clubs, it came with a lot of hardships too. Because one of the clubs I built from the ground above, finding like your team members, like finding who the other leadership positions should be, that's really difficult. Because sometimes some friends, we think they deserve it, but like their work ethic, it may not be up to par. So it's like you have to choose like one friend over the other. It's like that, but then I feel like in the end, overall, it'll all work through. It's not that difficult, and to get members to just a lot of promotions in general during club week. And personally, I found it a hard challenge, but in the end, I'm glad I went through that.
Being her friend, like I hear about like all like the club issues that she's dealing with, but I feel like sometimes people just take up like yeah, I definitely want to be so and so, like hold so and so position in your club, but they're only doing it because of like, oh, I'm holding so and so position, but they never put in any of the work that needs to be put in. So yeah, choosing the members that like are gonna support you through the club is very important. And yeah, if you don't promote well, then people aren't gonna join.
Also, if you don't get a position, I bet like every one of us who's going to really good schools have like been rejected from colleges and also from positions for clubs. Like the club that I was describing, like I didn't get the position I wanted, but in the end it worked out. Like yes, you'll get upset, and yes, for me it was really tough, but in the end, like don't stress yourself about it. Like keep trying, keep putting in your all like you did before, because giving up is not the best option unless it's hurting you.
Yeah. Okay. Advice.
I think past freshman year, just sticking with things is like colleges look for that. I think mainly over everything, because a lot of the extracurriculars I listed were not leadership based. They were just, I was there, I did things in this club, and I stuck it out. And I think that's probably what helped us.
Do you talk to admissions officers, when they come on campus, and what are some of the things that to impress them, that you ask questions because you always have to impress, right? So what are some tips that you want to give to the, upcoming high schoolers?
Email them. They come to you, they come to talk to you. For me, it was special, my red hair, so at the end I would say the red head in the bottom of my email. But being able to form a relationship in the slightest way, because I think that, like for Wash U, I met the admissions person like 3 times, and for Syracuse, I met the person like 7 times. And I don't think you should meet them that much, but it just happened that I saw them around. But definitely say hi to them, write them a thank you note, because they're the ones reviewing your essays. I knew from my older brother when he goes to Tulane currently, and the admissions counselor, he was nice to them and he wrote them an email and said thank you, and I think that really helped get him in, and I think it helped me get into places. So definitely write to them, say thank you.
I don't know if it's as helpful to meet them when they visit school, just because everyone's doing that. So yeah, definitely like reaching out to them, like it'll help them remember who you are. So do something more like personal rather than like group setting.
What do you think was like the biggest catchphrase in either your personal statement or one of your why this college or any of your supplemental essays? Do you remember like some like catchphrases and hooks that you threw?
I used why was there a plush carpet in the bathroom?
Oh,
that was my intro line.
Interesting. Okay.
I talked about like kind of an interesting topic. I talked about muscle memory in my hook because it kind of related to dance and like my experiences, and so it connected a bit with my major as well. So I used that as like a tie-in. So it kind of helped make it more holistic because I was able to connect different extracurriculars that I've done.
Got it. That's fantastic. So from plush toilets, like plush carpeted toilets, to muscle memory to intergenerational culture. Fantastic. Okay. What was the, like in hindsight, right? What is the weirdest advice you got going into high school?
Don't use the boys' bathroom next to the gym.
Okay.
That was weird advice, but good advice. I'm being serious. No, but yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, some dude tore off the stall walls and then lit the bathroom on fire, so that was
More serious. I feel like people tell me to like, okay, for me, I'm going econ, but like I also like took AP Bio, AP like Physics, AP Chem, which had like basically nothing to do with econ. But I think people told me like not to do that. People told me to choose like one, like if I were doing econ, like I had to only take like AP Lang, AP Lit, AP Stats, and like math related. But I feel like it's always good to be well-rounded and like have that like, I don't know the word, but just like have like knowledge in like all the fields rather than just like being very focused, I think.
Once you enter high school and then as you're journeying through high school, what do dinner conversations look like? Do you face threats sometimes, or like, like warm fuzzy hugs when you are like going through those AP exams?
I was always just in my room.
I think freshman year it started with like get good grades, like the full like dictator style, do this or else, right? But as it went through high school and the course load started ramping up, and I didn't have as much time to talk with my parents, it mellowed down surprisingly. I think this year especially, after junior year, after the absurdity that was AP exams, it definitely mellowed out a lot. Because there was a period of time where I just didn't talk with my parents for like 2 weeks during AP exams, and they realized, okay, maybe we should not fully, just keep pushing grades. So it mellows out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your parents also care about your well-being. I know I was in my room. I think a lot of us were probably in our room for more than enough time, and I think that now that we're seniors, I think we're out a bit more. But I definitely think that chilling a bit and knowing that they're also like, yes, they're telling you to do this. Like my parents were very hands-on for some stuff they would just like let me go ahead and do that, but the stuff that they were hands-on for was the stuff that really mattered about them and would matter to me later on. So I think that they convinced me to stick through with the club that I was doing, and I think that if I didn't listen to those dinner conversations with them and didn't listen to that, I would have just dropped. So I think they have the best interest in mind. Maybe some of it may be a little extreme, but taking that extremity, bringing it down and doing that.
Yeah, kind of through all that, like, you know, authoritarian style, do this or else, it is, again, as Hudson said, their intention is good. They're looking out for you, they want the best for you, right? And often that, you know, maybe the absurd demands, or what you may feel like are absurd demands, are just genuinely out of compassion for you. So, you know, stick it out.
Yeah.
I
mean, I do wish like I took the time out to talk to my parents and explain like this is what's happening. They just had no idea of what was going on at school. Like they didn't know like what I did or like what I was trying to do. So they were more like out of the picture. But I wish they knew so they'd understand better. But yeah.
I think all of you have different majors, and I'm going to ask you your perspective on, you know, being a doctor, right? Just to see what non-doctor aspirants, I don't know if anybody wants to be a doctor here. I think over the years, everybody's like shying away from being a doctor. Is that like a popular thing in high school where like it's like a taboo to even say, I want to be a doctor? You get frowned upon, or?
I got the pressure.
I mean, when I want to say I want to become a doctor, people are like, you want to go through like 10, 15 years of school just to get a job where you land like $60K starting salary and you have to work your way up. People are like, you really want to go through school that long? Because usually what people do, 4 years of undergrad and then get a job, and then it's like they think that's better than like being a doctor. But like that's truly what, like, if you're passionate about it, I feel like you should just go into that field no matter like about what the ending result may be.
I think people are becoming more lazy, especially with like AI and everything that's available. People are really becoming lazy, so I think that might be a factor with why people are not becoming doctors or not looking highly upon doing a lot to get your degree.
For sure, yeah. I mean, it would take a lot no matter what degree, right, to get up to wherever you want to be, right? And then back to what we were talking originally, like our majors and, you know, your pursuit, like passion pursuit based on like the monetary outcome, right? And how quickly you can monetize all of your, you know, your degree and college and whatnot, which is kind of like not, I mean, for my generation, so to speak, right? It's not promising if the future generation doesn't want to do things out of like pure love for, you know, especially service, right? Especially for a field like being a doctor, right? The whole intergenerational and whatnot. Okay, yeah. So, are there people still who want to be a doctor?
Yeah, there are some people, but then I feel like rather than in the past, there's less now because there's like people don't want to go through like that 10 years of schooling. So it has become less, but I've seen a lot of people still want to be pre-med.
And we need doctors, so yes, please be a doctor. If you're thinking about it, be a doctor.
Yeah. We need doctors.
Yes.
Yes.
If you're thinking about it.
Yeah, you have the support from all of us, right? Yeah, we'll support Stanways to start off with. Yeah. What do you want to do with the major that you've picked? You know, like where do you see yourself go 5 years from now? I know it's a hard question, and you probably answered this question in all your supplementary essays, right? But from your heart, just like where do you see yourself?
I chose computer science, computer engineering. So I see myself in one of 3 routes. 1, I go into quantum computing. 2, I go into artificial intelligence. Or 3, I am a McDonald's cashier. One of the 3. That is what is going to happen.
There you go. Yes, fun.
Well, like in my personal experience, I had a hard time choosing a major that I wanted to apply to because I just didn't know, like I was kind of scared what the future would hold because I wasn't necessarily sure if I was like set on a particular major. But ultimately I chose bioengineering as my primary major when applying. And I think part of my interest in that field came from like biotech and like technology in medical devices. And so hopefully in the next 5 years, if I decide to stay on that path, I'd want to try and work for a biotech company. But yeah.
Fantastic.
I think I shared a similar experience like with her. I really wanted to go into law, but then I kind of realized that maybe that's not my thing. So if I knew that I was going to do law, maybe I would have majored in political science. But I'm doing econ. I chose econ because it's such a broad like option, and I have so many different like career areas that I could explore. But right now, I think I'm not sure, but like maybe investment banking or law or consulting. I don't know. What?
I'm kidding. Just a cough. Just a cough. Not a laugh.
Okay. McDonald's.
Leave.
Yeah, I'll meet you there.
Okay, Sanvi, I think we know what you want to be. Do you have like a specialization in mind?
Oh no, but then I'm maybe a neurologist, but then that's 15 years like after like now, so it's so long, so we'll see where I end up then.
And then your trajectory just picks up from there, you know, like
Yeah.
soon enough you'll outpace all your peers like in a matter of minutes. Yeah, but it's going to be...
Yeah, it's a slow pathway at first, but then hopefully I'll make it there.
Yeah, we need neurologists, you know, especially with, like Hudson was saying, with AI and, you know, making people lazy. I think people have lost the ability to process things, right? And actually really critical think and rationalize. So yeah, yes, power to you.
Architecture, you usually think architecture going as an architect. I did have that concern, and I still do, about the salary, right? You're not making a lot when you go out, and it's really hard to even get enough to live comfortably, I should say. But I think that having a more broad scope of things, so I'm going to go in and I'm probably going to get a minor in marketing. That comes from my extracurriculars that I've done. So being more broad, and then knowing that whatever degree, wherever I go, I could do project management, anything having relation to more of a creative aspect of things helps. So I think an architect, but I also think that it could change really easily.
Engineering mixed with philosophy.
Engineering mixed with philosophy. Elaborate more.
Well, a lot of engineers currently develop models without thinking about the implications of what they're developing. So I think incorporating that into a curriculum, or straight up just making a major that directly combines both, is important to make engineers and understand the impacts of what they're developing.
I think we all wish that we could have everything available at our fingertips, so like not having to worry about transferring colleges or whatever, so having that all in one school. So I guess that if that could count as a major, I think that would be helpful. But at the same time, it's not really feasible.
Okay, last question, a little bit of a serious note. Because you have to end up doing so many things in high school, right? One of the biggest struggle for every high schooler that, you know, I speak with, I'm sure you all interact with, is time management, right? How do you actually do everything you do and still remain sane, right? And continue to live, basically, right? So what are some things that work for you in terms of like time management? Any tips you want to share?
I'm not going to answer this question. I've spent too much time in my room.
Power naps.
Look at that. I mean,
Did everyone agree? Did everyone shake their head? Yeah. Yes.
Hey, I agree with what Sid said.
Power naps. Power naps are great. Yeah.
Okay.
30-minute power nap.
Yeah.
Saves you.
Put on the timer because you have to wake up to go back to work.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, when that timer rings, it's the worst thing in the world.
I don't know about time management, but like I am gonna say that you are not gonna have time to do everything. Like there is just no time to do everything you want to do. So you will have to prioritize. So like a lot of times I chose to hang out with my friends over studying, or maybe the opposite, but it is what it is.
Yeah, like kind of going off of that, I think it's important to give yourself like grace. Just like maybe when you're planning out what you're gonna do for a given year or something, making sure that it's not overloading yourself. So like if it's coming to like classes in school, maybe give yourself one class that's just like easier so that you can kind of relax in between and you don't have to worry as much. And like same thing with extracurriculars, you don't have to do everything all at once. You can space it out and you can choose different times and dedicate more times to certain things throughout your high school. So I think that's important.
I think something I did wrong in my whole high school process was do like too much and like not do enough for like each of the things I did. So I would like, if I got to do this all over again, I would choose like fewer extracurriculars and put more focus into those rather than just trying to do everything, because I think that was not the best idea.
Honestly, I started off freshman year like with like only a few clubs and then a pretty light course load, and then I kept increasing the intensity of what I was doing in everywhere throughout high school, and I feel like that definitely helped me because I was able to just push myself far enough that I wouldn't burn out, but you know, still achieve things and still feel happy with what I was doing.
All solid advice. Yeah, but basically wrong crowd to ask about time management. This was a fun, super fun interview. I learned a lot. You know, it's good to get different perspectives and you know how you all think and whatnot. Yeah, have fun in college. Yeah, pack all the right stuff wherever you're going. You know, like don't get too cold or too hot. Yeah, so have fun, you guys. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
Bye.